Hey, what's up, guys? Local sushi chef JC over here. Myself and Cal are back with another episode with Chill Out with Cal and JC podcast. Today is one of the days where we address and we also talk about relationships, trust, and communication. So today we want to discuss the importance of communication, also the significance of problem solving, and also how to avoid conflict in relationships. Now, we all know that everybody's either in a relationship or you are married. And myself and Cal today decided that we are going to share some of our experiences so that we can interact with the listeners and the viewers so that you guys can interact with us with regards to how to resolve and how to manage conflict to build a trustful relationship.
I guess there's different types of relationships. There's ones that you have with your friends, with your family, and with your partners, even your acquaintances and your work colleagues.
Yeah. The importance of, I think, the importance of managing emotions, first of all, particularly when it comes to conflict in any relationship, may it be work, like you said, may it be, a relationship, may it be marriage, may it be, with family. The importance of knowing how to manage, in that spur of the moment uproar when something, is triggered and how to resolve that is very important and pivotal, I think, to, build strong relationships with the people that you care for.
Yeah, and I think I read somewhere the hierarchy is relationships, work, and then self-respect, which means you have to work on your relationship, even just to collaborate with even friends and family and work colleagues. Mostly, I think that's a tool that you use in the working environment.
Yeah.
Just
So,
a random thought before I forgot.
so the importance of managing conflict, you know, example, how do you manage conflict in your relationship, with family, at work? Are you somebody that is quickly fused to anger? Are you somebody that just blows off the top? What do you guys think is the best way and suitable way to manage conflict when it comes to those heated conversations and also those, let's just say, jargon arguments? Is there timeouts or what? How do we manage the conflict?
I think that's where understanding of each other, patience and tolerance come in, as well as your communication style,
Yeah,
because we both have different communication styles, you know, and sometimes you do have like a push and pull in relationships where you find that the one partner wants to solve everything now and the other partner is completely the opposite and they need time out. And that's also, I think, where the trust factor comes in, because in that type of communication style, you need to trust that your partner will come back and maybe in an hour, 10 hours, or 10 days to
yeah,
come back to that conversation, but just to have that trust to know that, okay, it's getting a bit heated right now, but this is important to both of you.
yeah,
And you're not ignoring it, or it's not going to go away. Because
yes,
as you know, if you just sweep everything under the rug, it tends to come back
yeah. To hold
tenfold.
up, yeah,
Yes, and it tends to explode. So before it even gets there, address it and have that casual conversation before it turns into a pattern. And that's when you'll have to have a critical conversation with your partner, your colleague, or your friend.
yeah, yeah. I think the importance of the managing, emotion, and how to understand. Because look, for me as an example, if something happens, I digest things totally different. Um, let's say in a work situation, something happens, and I get called aside by the executive chef, etc. I would have to process what is said to me first for me then to answer. So I would listen and I would then ask, can I be excused so that I can process what is happening? And then after time, I would come back to it, say an hour or hour and a half and come back and then explain to them, look, this is the situation. This is what happened. And this is the solution that I have, moving forward to ensure that these things don't happen again.
And I think that is just allowing that person that just respect that time and that space, just allowing in that breathing space.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily a cool down period.
Yeah.
But it's just so that, like I said, our communication styles are different and
Yeah.
it should be respected so that
Yeah.
you can just process.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And also sometimes I find that some of us are just so fixated on let's just fix the problem.
Yeah.
It is,
It actually pushes more tension onto the situation.
Coming back to it's like let's just try and address, is there a white elephant in the room before we even address that problem?
Yes.
Can we fix the relationship first?
Yeah.
And like I said, it can be any type of relationship. Like, can we just, leave a break in communication? Can we just solve for that before we even solve for the problem? Because that is actually, I think that's the crux of the matter of how you actually would address it and approach that situation.
Yeah.
Especially someone also stonewalling.
Mm.
Or you get that avoidant type of personality where people tend to avoid conflict.
Yeah.
Like I said, you either get the push pull where someone just goes full force or the one that's like, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not for this conflict. And they tend to avoid it.
I think the important part is, particularly in relationships, it might be whatever relationship, it's not what you say.
It's how you
It's
say
how
it.
you say it.
Yeah.
And also having that empathy for the person. If you know the individual and understanding that, what the emotional thought or the reaction could be. So it's very, very important and pivotal as to how you approach situations. Because if you're going to be shouting at somebody,
No.
you're going to be putting that person in a block and that person is just going to be staring at you. So communication styles, like we mentioned, very, very, very important. And I think that's the most practical way that you can go about at least one of the tips that we can give and share, from our personal life and also with experiences, for the viewers out there as well.
Absolutely. It's like ask the right question. And when I say right questions, it doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to suit your narrative.
Yeah.
You know, it is make it personal to that person, really understand where they are coming from, come from a space and a place of speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
And generally, show empathy towards that person.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think you speak from the heart and you come from the heart, and that should be everyone's approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Set your intent, upfront and say, this is my intention and this is how I feel.
Mm-hmm. So another question that I want to ask or that I want to approach is particularly relationships, marriages. What do you guys think are the most common, arguments that happens in relationships and that happens in marriages, right? So those arguments, I'd say when you get different types of arguments in relationships and you get different types of arguments in marriages as well. You live with somebody, you can have little petty arguments over socks. You can have little petty arguments over not cleaning the dishes. You can have petty arguments because you forgot to buy milk, And I think if we touch a bit deeper on that, when it comes to arguments, because a lot of people think that when you argue too much, this is toxic, but there's an old quote that says, if somebody doesn't argue with you, they don't care about you. If they don't show interest in what you were supposed to do or what you're currently doing, they don't care about you. So we want to know from the viewers, what are the most common arguments and, what are the most, in relationships and in marriages as well. So we spoke about safe spaces and how to approach conversations and understanding communication styles. Just if you care to emphasize with regards to that for us.
if we say make it safe, it's how to talk to your partner or anyone, like I said, about everything and anything.
Yeah.
And, the saying that goes that people really become defensive about what you say.
Yeah.
They would become defensive because why they think you're saying it, like your intent.
Yes.
So sometimes you have to fix those misunderstandings, and it's a skill that you need to learn.
Yeah.
And I think, if I can remember two key traits which I learned is I do intend or I don't intend.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That is just starting from the heart. That's your heart space.
Yes.
Set your intention, and that's speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
And sometimes, these certain stories, that we will tell ourselves because of course, it's high stakes if you're having like a heated conversation, as you say,
Yeah.
with your partner or in any, situation where there's high stakes. And then that is when the strong emotions will take over.
Heated conversations take place, and there's the sort of emotion which could be anger, it could maybe be sadness, it could maybe be closing up. How does one deal with these emotions?
So again, we speaking about, they always say we are geared with a negative mindset. We wake up.
Yeah.
It's a story we tell ourselves. It's negative, and we have to rewire our brains to think positive.
Yes.
On a daily
Of
in every
course.
situation.
Yes.
So I think, if you're getting over emotional or telling all these negative stories, you're gonna have to master that story, as they call it.
Yeah.
And I think what is key is also to separate all your stories from your facts, separate facts from stories.
Yeah.
And just to, I think it's called also to neutralize your emotion.
Yeah.
What do I hear and what do I see?
Yeah.
And ask yourself these questions, what part did I play in this?
Yes.
Don't just blame the other person.
Yeah, because generally there's always this blame thing, so you always need to, I think, retract, and you need to always say, but okay, before I approach this, what did I do wrong? And thereafter, let's find a solution, and let's give each other a hearing. Because when these relationships are tackled, you must understand that it is not just one person. It's not a win for one person. It's a win for everybody, because that is how you grow, that is how you overcome, and that is how you learn.
So yeah, as I mentioned, our emotions are not a function of what others are saying
Yeah.
or doing, but it is the story that we tell ourselves. So you need to know and keep your strong emotions from just taking control over the situation.
Yeah. I think it's very important that you understand the emotions at that time, because people deal with things differently, man. And not everybody's wired the same way. Some people can approach, these conversations immediately. Some who need to digest, some needs to, just emotionally gear themselves up to take this conversation in a more practical way.
So I think a good place, like I said, is to have like that start the conversation, you know, and separate, like I said, the stories from the fact,
Yeah.
and observe the fact that led you to these stories, which you ultimately told yourself. And you can even go, you know, back into it, the facts,
Yeah.
what I observed, what I saw, what I heard, and the story that you kind of concluded,
Yeah.
what I concluded.
Okay. So as Carl mentioned now, as you mentioned, is it's very important that you need to know how to manage your emotions, and also know how to approach conversations, in these heated moments, and have some sort of empathy, in understanding the individual, and not having the mentality of I want to ordain this on you because you did something wrong now, and forget about the part that you played in leading the person to doing something wrong at the same time. So empathy, I think, is one of the most important factors in every conversation and in every building relationship that you have with everybody, family, friends, work, marriage, etc. Yeah. So this brings us to a close of this episode, where we've touched on relationships and also the key factors of how to, grow together, understanding each other, and problem solving, in any environment. We'd like to hear from you guys, in the comments, and we'd like to hear from you guys with regards to your experiences. We hope this was a thoughtful episode, and we just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for the love, support, and yeah, this is us.
Thanks for chilling out with Colin JC. Up until next time, stay safe and stay kind.
Peace.